just let us know where you kind of want us or want to put us.
Behind the mic, so that's over.
Okay. We got rather a tall podium, you can tell.
Put a couple phone books back there for you.
We will look short, won't we? Well, good morning. My name is Sheriff Jeff Johnson with Dawson County, and to my left is District Attorney Lee Dara. We want to take a moment just to kind of recap the events from last evening and to give you an update on where we're at now. At approximately 7:36 p.m., Dawson County's 911 center received a call, a rather frantic call from a lady requesting assistance. While the 911 operators were attempting to get the information, attempting to locate or get a location on the subject, the phone went blank. Shortly thereafter, two cars pulled up into the parking lot of Fire Station number 7. The suspect got out of the vehicle in the rear, approached the vehicle in the front, attempted to gain entry into the door. Could not gain entry into the door, and then he began to fire into the vehicle. Fired several rounds, striking the victim. She was deceased on scene. The suspect then laid the weapon down. He basically surrendered at that point in time. He was in the presence of the firefighters. He stayed there until deputies arrived, at which time he was taken into custody. Suspect has been identified as Jeremy Wade Gibson, 44 years of age, of Dawsonville, Georgia. This was his wife involved. Her name is Amy Alexandria Gibson. She's also 44 years of age, of Dawsonville, Georgia. At the time of the shooting, there were 2 young children in the car. We believe the ages were 8 and 5. They were in the back seat of the vehicle. They were not injured or struck during the shooting. So that's all we have at this time. I will take any questions that you may have.
Sheriff, were these their children, and can you talk about the history of, about this Mr. Gibson?
This was their children together. And we do have a history. We won't go into the details of what those were, but we do have a limited history with them both.
I mean, but if people hear the story and they think, what can spark this? I mean, is there a domestic violence, anything we can talk about that issue?
Well, it would be domestic violence related, but again, I won't go into the details of the specific past history with them.
And was there any indication before this 911 call of like they had problems that night or the day, or kind of anything that led up to this that you can talk about?
Well, not that we are familiar with at this time.
What are the exact charges against Mr. Gibson?
Well, I don't mind saying, right now, all of the appropriate charges are under consideration. Certainly, there will be a murder charge and related charges to that. There will be some firearms charges. There'll be charges related to cruelty to children because of the witnessing of this event by the children. So all that is not exactly determined just yet, but we'll be proceeding with formal warrants very soon.
Any kind of criminal record for either person, victim or suspect?
It's not indicated that there's any criminal record that we know of presently.
What can you tell us about the victim and the suspect as far as where they work, what kind of work they did, that sort of thing?
I don't have that information currently. I can tell you that both did reside in Dawson County, though.
Did they live together? Were they estranged? Were they?
At the time, they were estranged.
Any reason why the fire station? Was it just that they were just driving along and that was where it happened at, or was there a reason for the fire station?
Well, we could only presume that with it being a fire station and the 911 call that she was trying to seek some safety.
I think the location of where this has happened is adding to the shock value of this. And if you can just weigh in on, for first responders, they're used to being helpful. It must have been awful to feel so helpless watching this all unfold and not being able to stop it.
Well, I agree with you. I hate to speak for them personally with it, but obviously they're there to help and to serve, and in a situation like that, obviously that's not what they typically deal with.
So she was driving the car?
She was driving one car and then he was following her in
In
another
another
vehicle,
car.
correct.
I think I heard you overnight say that the one firefighter was inside, but there was another one outside who was actually out there in the parking lot and witnessed this along with his family as well and children?
I tell you, and to my left is Fire Chief Danny Thompson. I'll let Chief Thompson comment on that, please.
Yeah, so I want to just start by saying, obviously, as we've mentioned throughout the evening and continuing, we want to express our deepest thoughts and prayers with the family and the victims of this tragedy. As the sheriff alluded to, at about 1939 hours, the last date, at Fire Station 7, one of our firefighters was confronted with a female that requested help. And he just had naturally assumed, as many people arrive at fire stations with medical emergencies, maybe to report a fire. He reached inside to notify his partner. He stepped back out, and when the shooting occurred, and he did have his wife, kids, and mother-in-law at the fire station at that time.
Were they all outside or they were inside?
So they were physically outside of the station. His kids, like a lot of kids, wanted to see the fire trucks. And so he was there taking time with his family and loved ones, showing them the fire trucks during this event.
Can you tell us that firefighter's name?
At this time, I don't want to release it out of respect to the family, the firefighters. You know, we want to make sure that they get the necessary mental health stuff to take care of them. Even though we're professionals, it's still a tragic event. This is not an event that first responders and even weighs heavy on the seasoned veterans out there. So we'll make sure that they're well taken care of, their families are taken care of, and so at this time, we're just not going to release those names.
So just to recap, we had the victim and the suspect's young children who witnessed it, as well as the firefighters, possibly two firefighters, and one of the firefighters' family, which included the wife, kids, and mother-in-law.
So you had the deceased and her children that witnessed it. You also had one of my firefighters, his wife, mother-in-law, and their two children.
Are those two children little as well, or how old are they?
They are 1 and 3.
They weren't in any danger at any time, those, that was,
I think they were in immediate danger.
well, yeah,
I mean, this was a very dangerous situation. Firefighters across this country are unarmed. And in a situation of this nature, while we always are there to protect life, save lives, that's what we're in the business for, front and center in a matter of seconds, it was their lives that they were looking after, their families' lives. And, they took the necessary actions and precautions to do exactly that.
Maybe Chief or the sheriff can talk about how this went down, where he just, after he did what he did, he didn't direct the children, he just laid the gun down and surrendered to those firefighters, or kind of how did it all play out?
That's our understanding, is that once the act was completed, he basically laid the gun down and just kind of stayed put.
Was it a handgun or a rifle, or do you talk about what kind of weapon was used, or he had more than one gun? I know you said firearms charges, but.
If I may, there are obviously a good many details that we know of now, but this is a continuing investigation. Investigation should be completed in toto before we talk about a lot of the details of the situation. I think the sheriff has given significant details so that the public can be aware of what happened here. But it'll also be important to remember the integrity of the investigation so that we can move forward and make sure that all of the bases are covered and all the evidence is received.
Did you say how many times she was shot?
She was shot several times.
What happens to him now? Is he have his first appearance today from jail, or how?
There is no scheduled appearance yet.
I guess it's some time.
What is his state? Is he remorseful today? What is his?
Again, it goes back to the same thing I said before. Because this is a continuing investigation, it would be important not to talk further about the details of him or even the situation.
Any reason, well, I may cover that, but any reason to believe he was under the influence of alcohol, drugs, or anything at the time?
I don't know that piece of information myself. I don't know what others do, but I'll go back to the same statement I made before. It is a continuing investigation.
this go on at the fire station for a while, or did it happen pretty? like,
It was a brief episode,
It was very brief.
right.
What about the Gibson children? Where are they now?
They were in custody of DFACS currently.
And have they been, is there any way a family can take them, or?
I would hate to comment for that, Ms. Denise, but I'm sure we're working on those arrangements.
So there is possibly family in the area that can take children?
There are family in the area.
And without harming the investigation or anything about the, I mean, still people are gonna see this and wanna know a motive, and I guess you can just say domestic related, but I mean, really, you can't really put your finger on that yet, or say, I mean, that's a question people are gonna want it on, right?
It's clearly a domestic-related event, there's no question about that. There was some domestic history between the two. But to go into any further detail about that would not be appropriate presently.
We do have pictures of both our suspect and our victim that we are willing to release. We can just spray them out here if y'all want to take pictures, or however y'all would like to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Is this a mugshot of the suspect? Is it the mugshot?
Driver's license?
I have a driver's license photo.
Oh.
Right.
First appearances generally, will it be later on today or tomorrow?
There's nothing scheduled presently.
Usually, I mean, within a certain.
I would not
amount.
anticipate a first appearance today, but there is nothing scheduled presently.
Just for our planning purposes, we'll want eventually, figure that out. Does that happen usually at the jail, or they move them for that? Logistically, I'm trying to figure out.
They're done by
They do
closed.
closed circuit.
Yes,
Is GBI involved in the investigation?
they are. They conducted the crime scene investigation. And also, we will recap that, obviously, there's two children involved here. The family does, the family of the victims. The loved ones do remain in our prayers and thoughts. It's just a sad, tragic situation.
You have a coroner here?
I'm sorry,
You
sir.
have a coroner here?
We do, yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right.